with that story. Now, it's not often an organisation publishes a statement defending its use of a term, only to go back on it less than 24 hours later. The Wellcome Collection, a museum and library in London, part of the Wellcome Trust, used the term women. That's women spelled with an X, not an E, in a tweet about an evening highlighting the role of women in art, politics and other areas. The museum explained that it was using the term in order to be inclusive. This caused consternation online, and today the Wellcome Collection wrote back saying, "We made a mistake and we should not have used it. We're sorry that we made the wrong call." Well, we're joined now by writer and broadcaster Sophie Cook. So Sophie, let's just start off with this. I mean, what is women spelt with an X? What's the meaning of it? Why use that form?
Well, it's similar to the way that women was spelt with a Y a few years ago. It's an effort to stop men being part of the phrase, because women as a word means of men. So the idea is that they are trying to be more inclusive, but the word women with a Y actually has some sort of quite elitist, very non-intersectional overtones. It's predominantly a certain type of white middle-class feminist that would use that word, and it doesn't include women of colour, it doesn't include trans women. So
going for X?
X is just making it a bit more inclusive. So it includes women of colour, it includes trans women. It was an attempt, I think, but by the group to try and be more inclusive, but I think they had the right intentions, but it turned out being a slightly clumsy effort.
Yeah, I mean, there's perhaps a slight feeling of The Office almost, of people sort of trying not to say the wrong thing, and then coming out with something that then does cause offence. I mean, do you think this is a minefield for companies, or in this case, museums?
Well, I don't think that... I do wonder why people are so offended by it, because actually the word was invented by feminists. They were quite happily using these words a few years ago, and all of a sudden they're taking offence at it. So I'm a bit confused about why they are suddenly offended at this word, because the word doesn't offend anyone. And if we're talking about people that actually want to exclude men, it works quite nicely, because it does take men out of the word.
Well, although, yeah, if you use women, that includes trans women, includes anyone who defines. So you'd think that's safe in the sense that people who are not defined in that way wouldn't define themselves that way, and therefore they wouldn't worry about use of the word women conventionally spelt. Or am I missing something?
You're not missing anything at all, because the thing is, trans women aren't offended by the traditional spelling of the word women. And if it's an effort to be more inclusive of non-binary people, which is where the X is traditionally used in terms like MX, then they're not going to use the word women anyway, because they reject that whole gender binary in the first place.
It's clearly complex, particularly someone like me. But I mean, look, just in terms of taking the heat out of it, because they did get quite a lot of comeback online. What's the key to that, do you think, to just sort of lowering the temperature a bit around this issue?
I think the thing is that we need to look at these things with kind eyes, because quite often companies do things to try and make a difference. They do things because they think it's the right thing to do. And sometimes, even with the best intentions, companies, organisations make mistakes. And you know what? I'm not going to beat them up for it. They tried their best to be more inclusive, and they made a good effort. And the thing is, there are certain people that are always going to be offended about something. I know that there are certain people who are going to be offended by the fact I'm on here tonight. But there are... That's the problem, that there's people that are so quick to judge, and there's people that are so quick to be offended about certain things in society.
It's a sign of the times.
Oh, very much so.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Right, well, look, tonight...